This is the Brewers POSTCAST, your instant game reaction for the Milwaukee Brewers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Make it back-to-back wins for your Milwaukee Brewers. Freddy Peralta was locked in. William Contreras coming through in the clutch. And the Brewers using a little small ball magic to take down the Cardinals at American Family Field. This one by a final score of 3-2 to win Game 2 of their four-game series over the St. Louis Cardinals. Is this the start, ladies and gentlemen, of a summer surge in Milwaukee? We'll certainly break it all down on the Locked On Brewers postcast. My name is Brandon Snide. You can follow me on X at Brandon_Snide, and you can follow wherever you get podcasts, Locked On Brewers, Apple, Google, Spotify, and all those great apps. And also right here over on YouTube, just hit that search bar, type in Locked On Brewers, hit that subscribe button, hit the little bell to get the notification when we go live. And as always, thank you for making Locked On Brewers part of your day each and every day. So very much appreciate each and every one of you. Freddy Peralta deal on the cards tonight. We'll break into some of the numbers from Freddy Peralta tonight. Murph ball, we have talked about numerous occasions with this Milwaukee Brewers team. Certainly last year we saw in big chunks of it. Needed to see a little bit more of it this year. We've seen it tonight in a 3-2 win over the Cardinals. We'll get to that. Aaron Savali, we had just talked about him last night. Not necessarily pounding his fists on the table, but saying, hey, I want to be a starter. Well, you got your chance to go now into Chicago. He was dealt for the White Sox. We'll discuss a little bit of that. And now for the Milwaukee Brewers, it's time to start stacking successes, because not only have you won the first two games against the Cardinals in Milwaukee, now you are 5 games over 500, 38 and 33. You now keep pushing yourself further above the Cardinals in the National League Central, one of those teams we had talked about that at some point you are going to have to surpass and beat. And this has been the Milwaukee Brewers answering the bell, now 4-4 on their 10-game homestand. We'll see if they can continue that going forward. We'll break that down as well. All of your thoughts, all of your questions, all of your comments. Harley already on the YouTube chat. We'll get to all of it as the Brewers beat the Cardinals tonight 3-2. Let's get to your scoring summary, brought to you tonight by Trade, Coffee, and FanDuel. A 3-2 win. Not a ton of scoring summary that we're going to have to get into, but there was one really big part of this game. We'll begin in the fourth inning. William Contreras doubling on a ground ball to left field. It snuck past Nolan Arenado. Sal Frelick, who was on the base twice this evening, 2 for 4 at the plate, as Sal Frelick, don't look now, starting to climb into that 300 range at the plate batting wise. Clearly the best hitter for your Milwaukee Brewers so far, at least at the average side of things. Sal Frelick putting himself in winning positions once again. He would score off the William Contreras double there. That was in the bottom of the fourth. The top of the fifth, the Cardinals would respond right away. We talked about that ball sneaking past Nolan Arenado. He would respond with another double on a sharp line drive there to left field. That would score Alec Burleson. That would make it 1-1. And that would take us to the very next inning. The Brewers would knock the Cards down in the top of the sixth, and it would bring us to the bottom of the sixth. And in a 3-2 win, not a whole lot of scoring, but tonight, the sixth inning, your turning point in the Brewers' 3-2 win.
Time to reveal where the game was won or lost. It's the turning point.
Bottom of the sixth inning, score tied 1 apiece. We mentioned Sal Frelick, kind of that heartbeat of the team, right? I mean, just always kind of in the right place at the right time. He would get this inning started for the Brewers. He would single. That would bring in Jackson Chourio with a line drive single to center field. He would stretch it to a double because of the errant throw from the Cardinals. They would challenge the throw at second base. They would try to tag out Jackson Chourio at second. It was very, very close. It felt like whatever the call was on the field was kind of what it was going to be after the replay, because there wasn't a whole lot of conclusive evidence one way or another. It was a really, really close play there at second. Ali Marmol would challenge it for the Cardinals. It would not be successful. The very next batter would be William Contreras. And William Contreras went deep in the count, and it felt like all he had to do was really put the ball in play. And that looked like at that moment for William Contreras, that's all he was doing. Just pokes the bat over the plate. It would be a deep fly ball to right field. That would score Sal Frelick easily from third base. Chourio would go from second to third. So you had guys on Chourio on third base with one out. That would bring in Christian Yelich, who had a fielder's choice to second base. The second baseman opted, instead of going to first for the secure out, would go home with it. Extremely bang play at the plate. It would score Jackson Chourio. This one was close, but I don't think it was as close as the one at second base. So Jackson Chourio kind of putting himself on the radar there for the Cardinals in that sixth inning. He would have a close play at second base. He would be ruled safe after the replay, as we had mentioned, and then he would be ruled safe at home plate on a really close play at the plate. But that would be the 2 runs that the Milwaukee Brewers would need. That would give them a 3-1 lead, and then you got to go all the way to the 9th inning where Victor Scott would single in to right center. That would score Nolan Gorman, but the Brewers would hang on for the 3-2 win. It wasn't pretty by any stretch of the imagination. Certainly would like to see a little bit more offense. Eric Fedde, though, was fantastic for the Cardinals tonight, as was Freddy Peralta, Trevor McGill. Some of you with some thoughts already on Trevor McGill. We'll dive into your thoughts on Trevor McGill. He does get the save tonight, his 14th of the season, 2 hits, 1 earned run, but he did have 2 strikeouts there in the 9th inning. He does secure the save for your Milwaukee Brewers, a 3-2 win over the St. Louis Cardinals. And really, it doesn't need to be pretty. I know I mentioned it wasn't pretty or easy at all, and that's fine, because at this point in the season, certainly as you're chasing the Cubs, who also, by the way, lost tonight. So finally, the Brewers kind of getting, I wouldn't say luck, because, they're playing good baseball, but finally starting to, be the benefit factor to the Cubs, trying to chase the Cubs and having them lose. Remember when that Brewers went on that 8-game win streak where they also won 9 out of 10 games over that same stretch, just really could not get traction on the Chicago Cubs. Haven't been the Cubs just not being able to give any room to the Milwaukee Brewers as they chase in the National League Central. Not the case this evening. The Cubs lose to the Pittsburgh Pirates 2-1 in extra innings. The Brewers, as we have talked about, beat the St. Louis Cardinals tonight 3-2. An important series. I had mentioned it at the start of this series that this was going to be the season series right now for me. And you can obviously it's mid-June. There's a lot more baseball to be played. But if you're looking at a series that you're going to kind of want to circle on your calendar as we entered the series, trailing the St. Louis Cardinals, who again have now lost 6 in a row, and let's keep it going here, Brewers. Let's make it 7-8 before they head out of Milwaukee. You met the Cardinals at the right time, and for a couple of different reasons. Number one, we mentioned their losing streak. They were swept by the Blue Jays before coming to Milwaukee. They have now lost 2 in a row to the Milwaukee Brewers. Jose Quintana on the mound for the Brewers on Saturday afternoon. Quinn Priester on the mound for the Brewers Sunday afternoon. So if you're a Milwaukee Brewers fan, this is really starting to kind of line up for exactly how you want things to transpire to be able to take at least minimum. Right now, the minimum is 3 out of 4. Before the series began, it was 3 out of 4. But going back, as I mentioned, you were playing the Cardinals at a good time because, like I said, they had lost a handful of games in a row, 3-7 in the last 10 prior to coming to Milwaukee. They obviously lose the last 2 in a row, or the last 2 games to the Brewers, but you're now able to play a team that's above you in the standings. And that's why I said that this series for the Brewers was going to be one that kind of dictates where they go from here. And right after you're done with the Cardinals, we're gonna push this right out of our mind, because you're gonna go down to the north side of Chicago and take on the Cubs, another team that is going to be directly above you in the National League Central. We had talked about how difficult it's going to be in the wild card race throughout the National League throughout the course of the summer. It's not impossible. The Brewers are still there. It's very, very much in play, but you can control your own destiny by winning your division. And everybody in that clubhouse, everybody in that front office has the National League Central in mind. And if the Brewers can continue to keep doing the things that we've seen them do over the last few games, and I know it's very short-lived because they just dropped 2 out of 3 to the Padres where they couldn't score anything offensively. They dropped 2 out of 3 to the lowly Atlanta Braves, who were on a 7-game win streak. So I understand that I'm kind of talking out of one end here, but it's the little things with this Brewers team that they need to do consistently. And it goes back to just being able to score runs and have those situational hitting. Murph ball, we had talked about it. The 6th inning is a perfect definition of Murph ball. Getting on base, Frelick with the single, Chourio, getting on the base pass and causing havoc. And these are the things we're kind of talking about. Now, if Jackson Chourio gets thrown out or if he's ruled out at second, it might be a different conversation, but that's okay because this is how the Brewers play. This is how we want them to play. This is how they win games. And then Christian Yelich with the fielder's choice, William Contreras with the sac fly, and you just kind of generate some runs. And when you got Freddy Peralta tonight, 6 innings pitched, 4 hits, 1 earned run. I put it on my X at Brandon_Snide. An early indicator for me for how a Freddy Peralta game is going to go is by his command and how he dictates that command early on. And he had some really sharp innings early on. It kept his pitch count down. He went 6 innings, as I had mentioned, only 93 pitches. So a really, really solid, very solid outing for Freddy Peralta as the Brewers get the 3-2 win. Your reaction, your thoughts, drop a comment. Let me know how you're feeling after a Brewers 3-2 win. We'll get into the Aaron Savali trade, what it means for the starting rotation going forward. We mentioned that this Brewers team needs to continue to stack success. They have a perfect opportunity on Saturday and on Sunday and beginning next week, Tuesday, with the Chicago Cubs. We'll get into all of that coming up right after this. Tonight's show is brought to you by Trade Coffee. Let's be real, guys. Coffee, I don't know about you, but for me, it's just not a drink. It's a ritual. It's a lifeline. It's the thing that gets me going from being half asleep in the morning to fully functioning. And if it's that essential, why settle for anything less than simply amazing? And that is exactly where Trade Coffee comes in. They are the #1 coffee destination in the U.S., delivering fresh, incredible coffee from over 50 of the country's top roasters. Whether you're a cold brew fan or a pour-it-over purist, they got the roast you love. And if you're watching YouTube right now, this is mine right here, Black Velvet. I did the really quick quiz. It took, 30 seconds. I filled it out. I didn't know what I was getting. Based on my answers, they sent me burnt sugar, graham cracker, malted milk. I mean, it is absolutely fantastic. Right in my mailbox. Go out to the mailbox, grab it, brewed it the next morning. It has simply been fantastic. It's super, super easy. I love that the prices are comparable to grocery store brands, but the flavor completely on a different level. And right now, Trade is exclusively offering our customers, you guys, 50% off of a 1-month trial at drinktrade.com/locked on. Once again, that's trade, TRADE.com/locked on MLB for 50% off your 1-month trial. So if you need coffee, if you're a coffee connoisseur like myself, Trade Coffee or drinktrade.com/locked on for 50% off your first month. The program tonight also brought to you by FanDuel. The NBA Finals in full swing. The Brewers winning some games every night, delivering highlight-worthy performances, major momentum shifts, and those simply can't miss moments. Whether it's a game-winning shot or a breakout player, there's never been a better time to get in on the action. FanDuel makes it easy for you guys to stay in the game before tip-off and live with player props, performance trends, and those same-game parlays. You, the fans, have more ways than ever to play smart and win big. And if you got a read on who's heating up, the Brewers are starting to heat up, guys, 2 in a row now. Could they make it 3? Jose Quintana on the mound tomorrow. Why not back his game up with a same-game parlay? And if you're new to FanDuel, it is the perfect time to sign up. Head to FanDuel.com and place your first $5 bet. If that wins, you get $200 in bonus bets. I'll repeat that for you guys. If you're new to FanDuel, head over to the website, FanDuel.com, place your first $5 bet, and if it wins, you get $200 in bonus bets. Make every moment more with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Once again, that's FanDuel.com. The Milwaukee Brewers getting a much-needed Game 2 win over the Cardinals out of this 4-game series. 38-33 on the season. Freddy Peralta, fantastic tonight. 6 innings pitched, 4 hits, just the 1 earned run. Trevor McGill with his 14th save of the season. There's some question marks, certainly with William Contreras. They're 4-4 currently on this homestand. 2 more games left against the Cardinals. We mentioned Jose Quintana on the mound tomorrow afternoon. Quinn Priester on the mound Sunday afternoon. So a golden opportunity for this Milwaukee Brewers team to really, really separate themselves from the St. Louis Cardinals in the National League Central, and more importantly, beating the team that at one point was ahead of you. The Brewers now ahead of the Cardinals in the National League Central. I said Cubs there because the Brewers now, after this weekend, after an off day on Monday, will have an opportunity to play the team that is going to be directly ahead of them in the NL Central standings, and that is the Chicago Cubs. So some really good opportunities for this Milwaukee Brewers team going forward. Pitching starting to get healthy. We mentioned Aaron Savale saying, hey, I want to be a starter. Well, Matt Arnold and the Brewers said, go be a starter in Chicago. Andrew Vaughn on his way to Milwaukee. The Brewers already optioned him to Nashville, the first baseman / outfielder. We'll see what he can produce. Maybe a change of scenery for Andrew Vaughn, a top pick not too long ago in the 2019 draft. So some hope, some pop in that bat for Andrew Vaughn is certainly on the radar for your Milwaukee Brewers. Your thoughts, your comments, we'll get to all of it coming up. And a 3-2 win for your Milwaukee Brewers over the Cardinals, now 38-33 on the season. Our everydayer Harley over on YouTube. I like McGill, but I feel he's a little too erratic to be a closer. I would swap him for Uribe. Side note, just got my Barrel Man flag up. Go Brewers. Absolutely. That is one of the best logos, I think, in all of sports. And of course, I'm going to be biased, but it's fantastic. So I like to hear that the flag is flying up and it feels better after a 3-2 Milwaukee Brewers win. I'm not there yet with McGill and Abner Uribe. And you guys know, if you are an everydayer, you guys know how much it means to me when we talk about Abner Uribe, because I have said, not only is he one of the best best relievers in the National League, but you can make the case for all of Major League Baseball. Abner Uribe has been on a different level this year. 1.35 ERA after tonight, just the 1 inning pitch, but he didn't allow anything. Just a 1 walk and 1 strikeout. He was absolutely fantastic tonight. McGill's fine there, right? 2 blown saves this year. He's got 14 total. For McGill, you can always tell early on where the game is going to go with Trevor McGill in the 9th inning. If he's landing that curveball early, especially early not only in the inning, but in the count, that's a game changer for him. When he loses that a little bit, things are a little bit different. And on the flip side, you could say the same for Abner Uribe with that slider and fastball. So he kind of has the same tendencies as McGill. Right now, Abner Uribe has been so good, I don't want to change anything. Of course, if we start to see more, negative outcomes with McGill at the closer position, we can have a conversation. 14 saves, only 2 blown this year. I know the one that he blew, the Brewers eventually, one of them at least, Brewers came back to win from a Caleb Durbin walk-off home run. But I'm not there yet, Harley, but I can understand where the frustration, where it's coming from, because it's fair, right? Like when you see him out there, but for the most part, he's been one of the best throughout Major League Baseball, and certainly how the Brewers have their back end set up right now, I wouldn't want to change anything, because we've talked about it. When this team has a lead going late into games, the outcome is usually favorable for your Milwaukee Brewers. Nate over on YouTube, Miz versus the Cubs is going to be great to watch. Thought Murph was going to come out of the dugout at the check swing. Yeah, Murph, Ollie Marmol for the Cardinals as well was not thrilled with a lot of things that occurred tonight behind home plate. Again, you're going to have those games. I don't know if any of those calls really are going to dictate or have dictated the outcome of this game. I guess if you're a Cardinals fan, you're looking at that play from Jackson Chourio at home plate, but I still think after review, that one would have been upheld just because of what it was ruled on the field. I think whatever they called on the field in both of those with Jackson Chourio at second base and at home were going to be what was going to be held up, and vice versa. If he was ruled out at home and Murph challenged it, I don't know if they were going to overturn that. So it felt like whatever the call was, that's what it was going to remain. And the Brewers were on the good side of that this evening in a 3-2 win, 5 games over 500, 22-14 at American Family Field. And that is important because that has slipped a little bit early on in the season, the home record that is, and things are starting to kind of trend in the right direction for your Milwaukee Brewers at American Family Field. And obviously we know how important it is to win those games. Now 4.5 back for your Milwaukee Brewers in the National League Central. Things are lining up for a really, really pivotal series against the Chicago Cubs, where it feels like, I don't want to get too ahead of my skis, but with this series, but that series, and I know I just talked about how important this series is, and it certainly still is. Now you're a game and a half above the Cardinals. You cannot slow down. As Taylor over on YouTube, part of our everydayer crew, the Cards are cooked. Let's keep the foot on the gas and make them sellers in a few weeks. Personally, I just thought the Cardinals were overperforming this year up until this point. And they might prove me wrong once again, but I thought they were overperforming up until this point in the season. And they continue to kind of trend downwards, not only in the standings, but on the field. That they just do not look like a team that's bought in to make a run this summer. And I could be wrong, but I mean, it just seems like a team that was overperforming for large chunks of the season early on. Could that be their schedule? Could it just be getting some lucky breaks? It could be a combination of all things. But this Brewers team, was on the back end of both of those things. Tough schedule, weird, quirky schedule, a one series trip out west to face the Giants in San Francisco, then back to the Midwest. So it was a weird, quirky schedule for the Brewers, and they haven't had many breaks. And quite frankly, have had more injuries than I think. The Brewers deal with injuries, it feels like every team does. But it feels like the Brewers kind of always deal with them at the worst times. This year was just weird. It started off with a ton of injuries, and they have kind of been able to keep their head above water and tread that line. And now you're 5 games over 500. We'll see what happens throughout the course of this weekend, but that's where I go back to stacking success for this Milwaukee Brewers team, because Taylor's right. You have this team right where you want them. You have one of your best starting pitchers on the mound tomorrow. You haven't overused your bullpen at all this week. Your offense has still got to get a little bit more going. I'm not satisfied with 3 runs this evening, although, we talked about last night how great last night was. Tonight wasn't really great, with runners in scoring position and the amount of players that were left on base for your Milwaukee Brewers. 1 for 4 with runners in scoring position, only 3 left on base. So not a ton of traction on the bases, but when there was, the Brewers cashed in. And that goes back to Murph ball being the outcome for the Milwaukee Brewers in a 3-2 win over the Cardinals. Now 5 games over 500. We'll see if they can do it for the 3rd time in a row tomorrow afternoon at American Family Field. And we can talk about it after that game. Jose Quintana on the mound for your Milwaukee Brewers. My thanks to each and every one of you for always tuning in. Thank you for always making Locked On Brewers part of your day each and every day. My name is Brandon Snyder. You can follow me on Twitter at Brandon_Snyder. Remember, wherever you get audio platform podcasts, you can listen to this show. Apple, Google, Spotify, all those great apps, as well as over on YouTube. Just head up to that search bar, type in Locked On Brewers, find our channel, hit that subscribe button, hit that little bell in the corner, get notified when we go live, and we'll go live tomorrow after the Brewers take on the St. Louis Cardinals in Game 3 of their 4-game series. Win, lose, or draw. As always, tonight feels, these last 2 nights have felt good. To say the Brewers win over the St. Louis Cardinals, but win, lose, or draw, as always, it is always go Brewers. Have a good one, everyone. Thank you.